The fitness industry, and especially the influencer space, has just gotten so out of hand these days, and it's hard to know what is true and what is even worth investing your time and mental energy in. Now, I'm not going to try to seduce you with flashy B-rolls or fancy editing. This is not that type of video. I just want to be real and share my advice from the heart and how it's changed my life over the past year and a half. Now, before we dive into it, if you struggled with getting yourself back into or starting health and fitness, drop a comment to let me know what the biggest barrier has been for you and how you overcame it, or why it's still a barrier for you. And if I can help you or somebody else can help you in the comments, then hopefully you'll find some value from that. A lot of people seem deterred from health and fitness because they can't seem to figure out what really matters, or it seems overwhelming and overly complicated. And so instead of just starting with the basics, they decide not to, or they try to go all out with these intense programs and routines, and they just fall through the cracks because they can't sustain it, or they're expecting to see results too fast, or they are seeing their favorite fitness influencer who may or may not be taking performance enhancing drugs, and they're thinking, man, I'm not anywhere close to that, and I've been doing this for 1 or 2 years. But the biggest factor in terms of getting in shape is really just the basics. Now, I want to take you back about a year and a half or so. Try to imagine yourself in my shoes. So I'm about 2 years out of training. I've been a doctor for a couple years, moved back to Canada and settling in. We bought a house. I've got a daughter about 2.5 years old, and we've got, for all intents and purposes, very objectively a good life. And but I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm thinking, like, this isn't the life I imagined for myself. Now, I have all the things in my life that I was hoping to have, and I'm very happy with the things in my life that I have. But personally, my life, I was struggling. I hadn't been working out in several years. I hadn't played any sports in several years. I didn't really have any personal hobbies. For the first time in my life, I was struggling with anxiety, and I was not being the father that I imagined myself to be and that I had been in the past. And I just hit this point where I said, something has to change. And I was at a pretty low point. And one of the big things that had to change, that I thankfully was able to change, and that I believe was a big factor in turning my life around, was getting back in shape, getting back into fitness. And you can see my thumb here. I got my nails painted by my daughter. If you're seeing that and confused, she wanted to paint them before I left town. But I really struggled to get back in shape. And I had worked out a lot in the past. I was always very active and involved in sports, but I had a lot more going on in life. And it took a lot for me to finally get myself back to getting in shape. And so how I did that, that's not the main point of this video, but I suppose it is an important aspect. What I did was, the first thing I did was make the commitment to just go to my basement and do one exercise, 5 or 10 minutes, do one exercise for about 3 sets, maybe 4. And that was it. That was a very low bar. But when I did that and I achieved that, it felt good. And I did that every day for 2-3 weeks. And doing that consistently every day, it was only 5 minutes. But when I did that, it established a pattern. It got me back into a routine. And it started to help me feel better again because I was working out again. A very small amount, but it didn't take long for me to really pick things back up and start working out longer periods more consistently. And that was the start. That's what it took for me. Now, that was the first step, a small step, not the only important thing, but it was a very important step. And beyond that, I made a commitment to start eating healthier. I was actually under eating calories and protein. I was intermittent fasting because I wasn't really hungry. I was lazy. I didn't pack food. I would snack at work or have maybe one meal, and then I'd eat a big dinner. But I wasn't eating what my body needed. And so that was also leading to me feeling crummy. And thinking back at what my life was like at the time, I was drinking more alcohol than I would have liked to. And it was like one or maybe two drinks on most days of the week. I wasn't binge drinking. I wasn't, drunk all the time, but one drink every night for a long period of time, it was starting to make me feel pretty crummy. I wasn't getting quality sleep. I wasn't exercising, and I'm probably, my testosterone was quite low, and that's probably a big part into why I was feeling so unwell. And so I started to eat better as well. I started to eat healthier, focusing on more fiber in my diet, more diversity of fiber, a lot more plant-based variety, and also eating more protein, making sure I got a really solid amount of protein with each meal, and actually started tracking my calories and my protein intake for a while, just to sort of get myself back on track and get a sense of what I really need to be eating. And that also, I found, had a really big impact on my overall well-being. And the first few months were kind of very, very basic, and I struggled. I wasn't feeling like I was making a lot of progress in the gym, but the important thing was that I was in the gym and I was making these changes step by step. After a few months, I was feeling much more on track, and I'd implemented the basics, and the basics are basically what I've shared. Just get in the gym and start lifting weights. Start making progress with your lifts. Challenge yourself. Don't just do something easy. Pick a light weight. Do, an easy amount of reps. Stop before you're having a difficult time, and then do that for the next 6 months. No, you have to challenge yourself. Try to increase the weight. Try to increase the reps. Push yourself. You have to progressively overload if you want to build muscle. And I think most people who want to get in shape, I think the more important thing, rather than starting to lose weight, is actually starting to lift weights. Because even when you do start to lose weight, you want to be lifting weights regularly so that you're not going to lose muscle mass. And if you are lifting weights and you're significantly overweight while losing weight, you're going to build a lot of muscle, so that by the time you get to your goal weight, you're going to look so much better with that muscle you've built than you otherwise would have if you didn't build the muscle at all. And so lifting weights is, I think, just any amount, and challenging yourself. It can even be body weight exercises. As long as you're pushing yourself, especially as a beginner, you're going to make a lot of progress. And then beyond working out, being active, moving, getting your steps in, walking, just low intensity cardio. You don't have to be doing HIIT training. You don't have to be doing sprints. You just need to get movement in. And then, of course, protein and calories for nutrition are big factors. And that's, a lot of times people focus too much on, it's kind of weird. People focus too much on cardio to lose weight. And they focus too much on restricting calories to lose weight. And you need to eat enough calories for your body to function and be healthy, and you can't lower your calories too much. If you overdo it with lowering the calories, your body's going to start to slow down, and you're going to end up probably feeling, I think that's probably a big reason why I was feeling the way I was feeling, is I just wasn't nourishing my body. And so you got to eat at least what your body needs for its basal rate, and then a little bit more for the energy you're expending. When you find your maintenance calories and you're sitting at an even weight from week to week, you want to drop that by maybe 500 calories, 300 to 500 calories as a starting place, and then see what happens. And if you want to lose weight faster, increasing your steps and your cardio is another tool for doing that. But again, it's the basics. Lift weights, move around, eat the right amount of calories for your goals, and make sure you're getting adequate protein. I feel Like I was significantly under eating protein, and that's I think a big part of why I was so deconditioned and lost so much muscle and had a hard time when I first started working out again. Had a hard time building some of that muscle back in that first few months, just kind of getting myself through the motions, which again, that was totally fine. I was getting myself doing healthier habits and adding one thing on top of another over time. And then after 3 months, I finally got myself to that really good place where I was nailing the basics. And once I was nailing the basics and getting adequate rest and taking care of myself and trying to keep myself in a healthy mental place, I noticed massive improvements in my workouts and my physical appearance. And there was a 6 month period where I think I put on 10 to 15 pounds, and it was mostly muscle. Now, that was mostly muscle memory because I had worked out a lot in the past and I built a lot of muscle in the past. And so I built up that muscle again a lot quicker than I did the first time. And that's the great thing about muscle memory. So it was great for me to see that progress really quickly. But as a beginner, you have that access to newbie gains that if you've never worked out before, in the first year of working out, you can expect to see about 10 to 15 pounds of muscle gain. And that's substantial from a 3 month period. If you're seeing yourself gaining like 3 or 4 pounds of muscle, you're going to notice that over time. And that's really reassuring. Now, of course, if you are significantly overweight, then you may not be noticing the muscle quite as much because it's going to be hidden by the fat tissue. But over time, if you keep working on it and keep making progress, you're going to ultimately see the results. The biggest downside or biggest problem that I think people face is their expectations are too high, or they're expecting to see results too fast, or they are seeing their favorite fitness influencer who may or may not be taking performance enhancing drugs, and they're thinking, man, I'm not anywhere close to that, and I've been doing this for 1 or 2 years. And so then they either give up or they feel like they need to take drastic measures. And most of the time, the drastic measures that people attempt to take with health and fitness, they actually just end up setting you back, like cutting your calories too low. That's not going to help you. You're going to lose muscle mass. You're going to set yourself back. And doing too much of an intense workout, training too often, too hard, you're not allowing your muscles to recover, you're going to end up not making progress because you're not allowing your muscles to recover and build muscle outside of the gym. The reason that people on performance enhancing drugs can do those crazy diets and lose weight so fast and work out so frequently is because they have the performance enhancing drugs making them essentially superhuman so that they don't need as much recovery time and they can spare muscle while in a significant deficit. So that comparison factor, which is so brutal with social media these days, has made it a lot more difficult, I think, on people to have a healthy relationship with not only their body, but their expectations of what they can achieve in a certain time frame with their body. And so it's just so important for everyone to sort of wipe away the expectations and just sort of base their progress on their own personal changes. If you've implemented working out 2 or 3 days a week and you've never done that before, and now you've done that consistently for 1 to 2 months, that is a massive win. It doesn't matter if you've seen progress. It doesn't matter if you've built muscle or you've implemented that behavior. That is a huge win. And now you just have to build on it, make small changes over time. If you've cleaned up your diet and you're not snacking anymore, you're not overeating, you're actually eating at maintenance, that's a huge win. Just keep doing that and make small changes on top of it over time. And you're going to see progress. But health, fitness, nutrition, it's not about a quick fix. A quick fix is going to get you anywhere. You might look or feel better for, a month, but if you can't sustain it and it's not a lifestyle that you can do long term, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Now, flip that. If you're not seeing much progress and it's going slow for you, but you continue to be consistent and make small changes, and then 4 to 5 years from now, your life is just so different because you've been consistent. Now you barely recognize yourself because you've built 15 to 20 pounds of muscle and you've lost 20 to 30 pounds of weight. who cares how slow it took you? If you now have achieved that 4 to 5 years later in a sustainable way for your lifestyle with whatever you have going on, that is incredible progress. You shouldn't compare yourself to somebody else who was able to dedicate their entire life for a year or two straight and achieve it all faster. It doesn't matter, because not everybody is in the same playing field. Not everybody has the same lifestyle, and not everybody has the same genetics, which is a huge factor in terms of what people's physique would look like and how much progress they can make with weight loss or with building muscle over a certain period of time. And so that's really it. Those are the basics, in my opinion, and the things that I feel made such a big impact on changing my life and making me feel so much happier with where I'm at personally. It's not like my life has changed dramatically. I have another kid now, which is awesome. My wife is still the same. My daughter is still the same, going through phases of being a toddler. I have the same job, the same house. My life is essentially the same, but I'm just so much more happy and confident with where I'm at because of the personal development that I have made, putting myself in a better mental space, actually getting exercise and building muscle again and eating healthier and focusing on sleep as much as I can with a toddler and a baby. But that, over the last year and a half, has just totally turned my life around and made me feel so much better than I did before. And I know that even with these small changes in each of these areas, anybody can change their life and get themselves to a much better place than they currently are, even if it takes a year or two to really start to recognize that, wow, yeah, I have seen a lot of progress. Because that's all that really matters, is that you ultimately get to your goal. And as long as you keep taking small steps in the right direction, you will eventually get to your goal. And everybody is on a different pace, has a different life and different opportunities. And so you really can't compare yourself to others. As long as you are doing what you can do to make progress and be successful over time, that's what matters. And that's what's going to be impactful for you. So start lifting weights. Go for an extra 5 or 10 minute walk once a day if you can. Start doing more movement in general. Try to eat healthier. Get rid of the junk food. Get rid of the snacks. If you don't need it, don't buy it. Get rid of it so you're not tempted. You can still have it as snacks or as treats once in a while. You can still go out for ice cream. You can still have cake. But reducing the frequency and making it more of a treat and really dialing in on the healthier foods that you eat, making sure you're eating enough protein to give your body the protein that you need. Roughly 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight would be a good target to shoot for as a standard. And then getting adequate rest and sleep. Don't overtrain. Don't do intensive cardio 5 days a week. Let your body rest and recover. Work hard when you're in the gym, but rest on the rest days. Allow yourself to recover and allow yourself things that make you feel good, that make you feel rejuvenated, that help you de-stress. Because the mental aspect of life, not only about health and fitness, but about life in general, if you're not having periods where you can de-stress and relax and do things that you personally enjoy, then you're kind of missing out on one of the most important aspects of life. And so that's all I really wanted to share today. Is really focus on the basics and make a small change in one area and then make another once that's nailed down. And that is the foundation of health and fitness. And I think that really needs to be the focus for a lot more people. And I think a lot more people would be better off if that was discussed more. So I don't know if this type of video is going to reach anybody, but if you've been listening still, I thank you so much for your time in listening to this. I really do hope that it was helpful. And if you're interested in some of my other videos, I would really appreciate you taking a look. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you, what has been your biggest roadblock for health and fitness, and I hope to see you in the next video.